Number 10, East Orange. East Orange rounds out the list, but don't let the ranking fool you. Rounding out the list in this context means 457 violent crimes and 2,000 property crimes per 100,000 residents. If those were baseball stats, you'd be a perennial all-star. In crime, you're just on a list. This city sits in Essex County, right near Newark, which is basically Newark's slightly smaller sibling who got in all the same trouble and just didn't get as famous for it. Same orbit, same problems, slightly smaller headline count. The Brick Church train station is where robbery activity clusters. Commuters are easy targets. You're tired, staring at your phone, just want to get home. That's the formula. Bunch of distracted people in one spot, see what happens. What happens is your wallet is gone, and your phone, and sometimes your patience for ever taking public transit again. Car theft is the other big one. The Garden State Parkway is basically the distribution channel. Thieves take cars from gas stations and fast food lots wherever people stop and briefly stop paying attention. The city put in license plate readers to try to slow it down. The thieves responded by swapping plates on stolen vehicles before getting on the parkway because criminals in New Jersey are nothing if not adaptable. You put up a camera, they put on a different plate. It's chess, ugly, stupid chess in a Sunoco parking lot, but chess. East Orange, number 10. Not great, not trying to be. Number 9, Irvington. Just ahead of neighboring East Orange in the numbers, Irvington has its own thing going. A 1 in 213 chance of violent crime per year sounds acceptable until you realize that's compounding annually. Run it out a decade and the math starts to feel personal. Homicides dipped last year. Progress. But porch theft and vehicle theft jump to compensate because crime is essentially incompressible. Squeeze it in one spot and it expands somewhere else. The total amount of crime in a struggling city doesn't vanish. It relocates, it finds a new category, it adapts. The Kia and Hyundai theft scheme is real here. There's a social media hack, using the word loosely because teenagers with USB cables figured this out, that lets you start certain models without a key. The cars came from the factory with a design flaw that doubled as a theft tutorial. Stolen Kia posts fill local Facebook groups. It's almost impressive. These manufacturers spent millions on engineering, and a 16-year-old with a phone charger cracked the whole system in a parking lot. Springfield Avenue runs around the clock. Great for the local restaurants. Genuinely good food. Busy at all hours. The kind of strip that gives a neighborhood real energy. Bad for anyone who parks there and momentarily forgets their car is technically community property. Number 8, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a port city, and the port drives everything, and including the crime pattern, which is extremely on brand for a city whose entire economy runs on moving things from one place to another quickly and without too many questions. The FBI recorded 558 violent crimes and over 3,100 property crimes per 100,000 residents. That's not an accident. You've got a busy waterfront, longshore workers blowing off steam near the midtown bars, and back streets lined with parked cars that criminals treat like a self-serve buffet. The bar fights that show up in the aggravated assault numbers aren't random. They follow the shift schedule. The big ticket here is catalytic converter theft. Thieves slide under parked cars at night, cut the converters off, and quickly ship the parts off. The whole operation takes minutes. Police have been telling people to etch their VIN onto the converter so it's harder to resell. Most people don't do it. Why would they? Nobody thinks their catalytic converter is going anywhere until one morning it does, and now their car sounds like a lawnmower with emotional problems, and they're standing in a parking lot at 7 a.m. asking the sky for answers. Number 7, Bridgeton. Bridgeton might be the most surprising name on this list. It's a small city in Cumberland County, deep South Jersey, the kind of place people describe as quiet, and it does look quiet. Farms nearby, not a lot of foot traffic, the kind of downtown that rolls up the sidewalks early until you look at the numbers. 910 violent crimes per 100,000 residents, 3,740 property crimes. Those rates dwarf cities twice its size. For a place that's supposed to feel rural, Bridgeton is putting up numbers that would make cities 10 times its population nervous. Downtown break-ins target mom-and-pop stores because older lock sets are easier to get through. The big chain retailers have security budgets. The family-owned hardware store on the corner does not. Armed robberies happen in broad daylight near North Pearl Street, and broad daylight in a small city means witnesses who know exactly who you are and still feel like they can't say anything. Car thefts happen on side streets with no cameras and nobody looking. Locals carry pepper spray. Motion lights are standard on most houses. That's not a security upgrade in Bridgeton. That's just how you set up your property. Here's the thing about small cities with big crime rates. There's nowhere to hide. The population is small enough that the crime feels personal. You know who got robbed, you might know who did it, and yet the numbers don't go down. Quiet on the surface, wild underneath. Number 6, Asbury Park. Now we're at the shore. Live music, boardwalk, the Stone Pony, the kind of town that gets written up in every major magazine as a comeback story, a revitalized gem, a place that rose from the ashes. It is all of those things. It's also number 6 on the most dangerous cities in New Jersey list, which tells you that comeback stories are complicated and the blog writers don't always stick around past dinner. About 503 crimes per 100,000 residents, but the real number to focus on is this. Given the small population, there's roughly a 1 in 24 chance of property theft. That's one of the higher individual probabilities on this entire list. You're not just visiting a city with crime. You're visiting a city that's small enough that the crime is pretty efficiently distributed across everyone who lives there. Porch pirates love the old Victorian homes with century-old porches that were not designed with package security in mind. They were designed for sitting and drinking lemonade and watching the ocean. That was before Amazon existed and before anyone decided that leaving a $400 package on an unattended porch in any city in New Jersey was a sound plan. Bar fights along Cookman Avenue spike after midnight. That's true of basically every town with bars, but Asbury Park bars stay packed late into the night, the crowds are dense, and the window for something to go wrong is long and well lit. The newer wrinkle is rideshare theft. Drivers leave their engines running at pickup spots. Convenient for passengers, extremely convenient for anyone who wants a free car. Stolen vehicle numbers are growing by double digits as a result. The city's working on it. The problem is working faster. Asbury Park. Great show at the Stone Pony, but watch your stuff. Number 5, Newark. Newark is New Jersey's largest city and crime scales with population, which is why when you normalize everything to per 100,000 residents, Newark lands in the middle of this list rather than at the top. The city is doing real things to address safety. New administration, more investment, genuine effort. It's also still Newark, which means you're dealing with a 1 in 201 chance of violent crime and 1 in 43 for property theft every single year you live there. Carjackings jumped in the South Ward. The targets are disproportionately newer Kia and Hyundai models. Same USB cable exploit as Irvington, same design vulnerability, same footage of the whole thing ending up posted online within hours. The Ironbound neighborhood, which is also one of the genuinely great places in the state to eat, packed with restaurants that have been open since before most of the current problems existed, is getting hammered by theft. Rows of porches, rows of people who take the deliveries before the resident gets home from work. The math writes itself. The city invested in street cameras. The response from the criminal ecosystem was to swap license plates on stolen cars and ditch the vehicles within hours. Usually a few neighborhoods over. It's a technological arms race, except one side has the city budget and 4 levels of municipal approval to get anything done, and the other side has nothing to lose and can change tactics overnight. Worth keeping your head up in Newark. Number 4, Paterson. Paterson is dense. Really dense. The kind of dense where everyone is physically close enough to be in everyone else's business, whether they want to be or not. That's great for community. Great for corner stores, for block parties, for the feeling that people are around. It is also great cover for crime, which thrives on proximity and anonymity at the same time. A combination Paterson's layout provides in abundance. Residents face a 1 in 111 chance of violent crime and a 1 in 41 chance of property crime each year. Murders dipped after the city implemented new patrol zones. Credit where it's due, that's real. But street robberies and vehicle thefts climbed near Tottawa Avenue and Main Street to compensate because, again, crime is incompressible. It finds the gap. It always finds the gap. The car theft operation in Paterson is something to behold from a purely logistical standpoint. 1,010 stolen vehicles last year. Officers report that thieves are now towing entire cars onto flatbeds in under 2 minutes. 2 minutes! That's less time than it takes to parallel park in some New Jersey cities. They're not breaking in, they're not hot wiring anything, they're just taking the whole car on a truck in broad view and leaving. It is brazen in a way that almost demands a certain begrudging respect. Almost. Police say to use a wheel lock, not just an alarm. An alarm is a sound. A wheel lock is a physical object in the way of a plan. In Paterson, physical objects in the way of plans are significantly more reliable. Don't leave your car unattended in Paterson. Actually, don't leave your anything unattended. Number 3, Trenton, the state capital, home of the legislature, the governor's office, and the famous Trenton makes the world takes bridge sign, a sentence that was written as civic pride and has since become a little too accurate in ways nobody intended when they bolted it to a bridge. 1,160 violent crimes per 100,000 residents, 2,950 property crimes. The South Ward and the Wilbur section account for a disproportionate chunk of the assaults and break-ins. Shootings eased slightly last year. Genuine improvement worth acknowledging. Aggravated assaults and break-ins held exactly where they were. Because in Trenton, one category cooling off just means the heat moves somewhere else on the map. Catalytic converter thefts are up 40%. Thieves slide under parked cars after midnight with reciprocating saws and take what they came for in under 3 minutes. The Route 29 cameras are good at catching speeders. They are considerably less useful for the guy with a power tool underneath a Prius in a side alley at 2 a.m., which is a sentence that makes complete sense if you've spent any time in the capital after dark. There is something uniquely New Jersey about having the state legislature and this crime rate in the same zip code. The people who write the laws and the people ignoring them are, geographically speaking, neighbors. Trenton makes, the world takes. Apparently so does everyone within a 5-block radius. The sign was always right, just not in the way they meant it. Number 2, Atlantic City. Atlantic City exists in a specific and almost philosophically interesting space where the entire business model is built on convincing people that luck exists, that odds can be defied, that tonight is the night everything changes, and then crime layers itself directly on top of that psychology. Because a crowd of people who have collectively decided to ignore risk is the ideal operating environment for people who make their living off of other people ignoring risk. 1,690 violent crimes per 100,000 residents. An overall crime risk of about 1 in 11 for residents, one of the most aggressive numbers on this entire list. Property theft tops 4,100 per 100,000. Purses disappear outside casinos. Phones vanish on crowded sidewalks. Motel rooms get broken into every summer weekend with a consistency that would be impressive if it weren't so depressing. Car thieves favor rental SUVs, sitting in open-air lots behind the casinos because rental cars don't have someone emotionally attached to them, which means it takes longer for anyone to notice they're gone. The city's footprint is small. Everything is close together. The boardwalk, the casinos, the parking structures, the side streets. That proximity makes it feel safe because it's lit up and crowded. It is not safe. It is lit up and crowded, which is a different thing entirely. Tourists don't process this because they're in vacation mode. the deliberate psychological state of having lowered your guard. You came here to relax. Crime came here because you came here to relax. That's the gap. It's been the gap for decades. Atlantic City, where the house always wins, and so do the guys in the parking lot. Number 1, Camden. Camden has been number 1. Camden may always be number 1, which is one of the saddest sentences you can say about a city that sits directly across the Delaware from Philadelphia, with a waterfront view that under completely different circumstances would be worth something. 1,640 violent crimes per 100,000 residents, 3,050 property crimes. That breaks down to an average of 4 robberies, 6 assaults, and nearly 9 thefts. Every single day. Not per week, per day, every day. Weekends included, holidays included, the days when it's raining and most people prefer to stay inside included. The math does not take days off. Over 900 vehicles were stolen in 2024, most from street parking north of downtown. 1 in 22 chance of becoming a crime victim in any given year. Within the United States, 98% of communities have a lower crime rate. Camden is safer than 2% of cities in the entire country. That is the number. That is what it is. Now here's the thing, and it actually matters. Camden has been making real progress. Violent crime is down 75% from 2012. Homicides dropped to 17 in 2024 from 30 the year before. The Camden County Police Department restructured years ago, scrapped the old model, leaned hard into community policing, and the numbers reflect it. First half of 2025, violent crime down another 12%. These are not small improvements. For a city this size, that trajectory is remarkable. And it is still number 1 on this list. That is how bad it was. You can cut your violent crime by 3/4 and still lead the state, because the baseline was so catastrophic that even historic improvement still looks alarming on paper. Camden is fighting hard to not be number 1 anymore and slowly winning that fight. So there's your list. 10 cities, 1 state, all with crime rates that significantly outpace the national average,